Welcome to the Managing Task Analysis video guide. To assign a new task analysis, first you want to log into the Guiding Technologies website. Then you want to navigate to the Therapy tab at the top and select a student you would like to add the task analysis program for. Once you've found your student, select the Add New button and select TA for task analysis. At the top of this page, you'll see the different filters for the programs you can add. Each of these filters gets more specific until you're at the specific program you want. Down here you see the different steps that make up that program. So my program that I have selected right now is brushing teeth, and here are all the steps for brushing teeth. To put them in the path, we click Select All, and then all the steps show up in our program. In the selected steps, we can change the target step by clicking this little target icon to select which step we'd like to be our target step. Here we can move the steps around by selecting the arrows. If I want step 2 to go before step 1, I'd select the up arrow, and the one that was step 2 will now become step 1. If I want to get rid of any steps, I can click the X next to it and it'll get rid of it, and if I want to put it back in, I can go back into the available steps and give it the check mark. If you want to change the prompt level for any of the steps, you can click the default button and it gives you all the available prompt levels to choose from. To the right of the steps button, you see the prompts button. Select this button to see the available prompts. Here we have all the prompts available, and by default they're all put into the selected available prompts. If we want to take any out, we can select the red X to get rid of it, and if we want to put it back in, same as with the steps, you can recheck the button. If you want to move any of the prompt levels to be higher or lower, just select the arrows. Down would move it to a lower prompt level, and up would move it to a higher prompt level. Once we've selected our desired steps and prompts, we can move down to our therapy settings. The first therapy setting we have is a type of chaining we'd like to use. The first type of chaining we have is forward chaining. Forward chaining starts the target at the beginning step, and as you progress through the therapy, the target step will move further and further down until you master all the steps, effectively mastering the therapy. The next type of chaining we have is backwards chaining, which works in reverse. The target starts at the bottom and works its way up to the beginning as we go through the therapies. The next type of chaining we have is total task chaining, which does not have a target step and just runs through the therapy in chronological order. The next setting we have is the different instructors setting. This is just how many instructors are working with the given student. What this does is if there are 2 instructors working with the student, both instructors would need to meet the goal in order to move on to the next target. The next setting, called target step, is whether or not we want the prompt level for our target step to be different from the default. If we do, we can select the Use Target Step Prompt Level bubble, and then we can change our default prompt level each time we move on to a new target, over here next to the target step prompt level. If we don't want to do this, we can just select Use Step Prompt Level to stay at the default. The next setting we have is called Default Prompt Level After Target. Because when we run through a task analysis, we first go through each of the prompt levels until we get to the highest prompt level, and once we succeed with that, we move on to the next step. This setting allows you to change what we want our beginning prompt level to be once we reach a new target step. So we can change between any of the prompt levels that we've selected. So when it says default up in our selected steps, whatever we select down here in this box is the default prompt level that it will go to. The next setting we have is chaining. We can choose between full and partial chaining. If we want our therapy to end after we complete our target step, we can select partial chaining. If we want it to keep going after we complete our target step, select full chaining. The next setting we have is our goal percent. This is just the percentage of successes we have in our trial that we need to move on to the next goal. So if you want it to be no mistakes to move on to the next goal, you have it as 100%. If you want anything less, you could either click the down arrow or just type in the box to change the percent. Our next setting is train target only, or shaping. This setting depends on whether we're using full chaining or partial chaining. If we're using partial chaining and we select yes for this setting, only the target step will appear in our program, no other steps. If we're using full chaining and we select train target only to yes, then only the unmastered and target steps will be showing. So once you master a step, it will no longer show when you move on. Our next setting is a different day setting. You can adjust this so that you have to complete the goal on multiple different days in order to move on to the next goal. You could either use the slider or you could just type in however many days you want. The consecutive session setting is whether or not we want our goal percent to carry over to consecutive sessions. If we do, we select yes, or if we want it to reset on each new session for no. Our last therapy setting is the apply mastery criteria to. We can either do it to the chain or steps. So our mastery criteria is our different instructors and different days criteria. We could either apply that to each individual target step we have and work all the way through with these criteria applying to each one, or we could just have those criteria apply at the very end of our program, and that would be the chain setting. So now I'm going to do a quick demo of what one of our therapies would look like in the app. I'm going to start fresh just to make it easier. So we're going to come back to our student page and assign a TA therapy. We're going to go with the brushing teeth, select all of our prompts or our steps and make sure all of our prompts are in there. And then I'm going to do a backwards chain. I'm the only instructor, only over 1 day. I don't want to train only the target. And we'll have pretty much all default settings. And then we'll add this to our path and it will show up with our student that we applied it to. So now I'm in the Gains app. I can select the student that I applied the therapy to. And we should see the therapy we added in our programs page. Because it's a backwards chain, our target is going to be the last step in the therapy, which is putting away the toothbrush and toothpaste. So we can begin our therapy. We have our setup, we get our materials. And because the beginning steps are all going to be at our lowest prompt level, full physical, because our target is the last step. So here we have our target step, which is our last step, putting away the toothbrush and toothpaste. If we successfully complete that, we should move on to one prompt level higher for our target step. See, now we're at partial physical and we were at full physical. And then we can keep going through this until we complete this therapy.